thank you. Oh my God, it truly warms our hearts and the hearts of the folks that really worked hard to plan this. To see everybody so deep in conversation and enjoying themselves. That's what this event is all about, intersected with a little bit of conversation that you are going to find enlightening. We promise that, because we have a terrific group of panelists for our two panels, and the vibe in the room just could not be better. So thank you all for listening. I'm Cynthia Littleton, co-editor-in-chief of Variety. Truly, truly happy to be here. Thank you. This really does represent the vision of a lot of people, including Donna Pinestri, Emily Longaretta, and so many on our events team, and we're just deeply, deeply grateful that you came to celebrate this with us. We're appreciative. And we're also very appreciative of our panelists, and I'm going to bring up the participants in our first panel here. We have some fabulous, fabulous examples of incredible directors making some of the most cutting edge and creatively excellent television that is out there today. And we all know there's a lot of television out there these days, but we have purveyors of some really good ones. We're going to start here with my longtime friend, compatriot, and former head of the Directors Guild of America, you know, a long list of credits and nominations, Leslie Linka Glotter. We're packing them in here. Yeah. Thank you, Leslie. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, come on in. All right. And joining us up here is Janixa Bravo, who has listened to these shows. The Bear. No, you've heard of it here. And that's not the creatures that walk around Monrovia these days, but that is a award-winning FX TV series. Divorce, Atlanta, Here and Now, Camping, Poker Face, Mrs. America, which I loved. So many great credits. Such a very busy working director. And also joining us, completing the panel with a really nice mix of diversity and experience, diversity of genre and experience, is Lisa Joy, director and executive. You know Lisa's work from Fallout, of course, right now on Amazon Prime Video, and also Westworld. And?
Lisa, I am Leslie. I haven't met you before. I'm so glad to meet you. You're a very tall, beautiful human.
I'm wearing these heels. I'm wearing heels, guys.
I was confused about the dress code.
I love that. I love that.
What's great about our dress code is we're all at different places, and and I think it's working though. Mm-hmm.
No, it's absolutely, and it's LA. The dress code is whatever you want to make it. Absolutely.
It's all vibes.
Yeah. Absolutely, yes. But Lisa Joy, Fallout on Amazon Prime Video, Westworld. And Lisa, I looked deeper on your resume, Pushing Daisies, a show I loved. Absolutely. We're going to get some Pushing Daisies stories here. And Burn Notice. And I think it's a very interesting mix of experiences, and also from your experience as directors, you know, coming in. Leslie Linka Glotter has directed so many pilots, and that's a whole process. And, you know, Lisa, you and Jonathan Nolan executive produced and really, really brought Westworld to life, and now bringing Fallout, this incredible video game franchise, translating to the screen. And Janixa, you are just all over, doing obviously so in demand as a director. Something else I noticed about all your resumes is you have done other roles. Leslie, you started out famously as a choreographer. Janixa, you've worked in the costume design and department and things like that. And Lisa, of course, early on in story and kind of working your way up the rungs. So my question for you to talk about the craft of directing, and this might seem kind of obvious, but for this, you know, sophisticated crowd, what in your experience, and this is a jump ball for whoever wants to grab it, what in your experience, what is singular about being the director of a piece? We know television is a team sport. What is the singular contribution, the attribute that you need to be an effective director on the kind of incredible, elaborate productions that you all work on?
Okay.
Leslie?
This is like the oldest goes first. So I was a dancer and a choreographer, and I would tell you the great thing with coming from that background is you can't cheat. Your leg goes up in the air or it doesn't. It doesn't matter how great you say you are, people are going to know. Because when your leg is shaking, they're just going to know. So you can't bullshit. So I think it's a great background to come from because it teaches you how to learn and how to go a step at a time and build on that. It's like we all have many colors in the paint box we have, and you're constantly wanting to add those colors. You know, as far as directing, I mean, when I wrote my first short, which was based on stories that my mentor in Japan told me. So it was everything I was told not to do if I ever wanted a job in Hollywood. It was 3/4 in Japanese, had subtitles, flashbacks, narration, was a period piece set in World War II, and it had one Caucasian character. It's, you know, and, you know, I wanted to tell that story. I didn't care about getting a job in Hollywood. But the minute I walked on the set, I realized that's my next chapter. So I had to set out to learn what I needed to know to do that job. And I would say as a director, we need to have skills, like you have to learn what everyone does on the set. So you can appreciate the skills they all have, and so you can be a good leader and a good collaborator, because we are all of those things. I think it's all opposing things. You have to be really clear about what you want, but completely open to the best idea that comes in. You have to be compassionate and strong. You have to be all of these different things wrapped into one. And the great thing is that no matter how long you've done it, every time it's like you're beginning again. It's like a whole new thing. So I love that this is what I get to do as a job. You know, we were just saying that sitting there of like, wow, we get to tell stories. That is fucking awesome. Yeah.
How does that compare to Janixa or Lisa?
Oh, am I going to go first? You want I can. I think I'm thinking in terms of like the big lessons. I've directed more as a guest director than I have making my own work. And the thing about being invited is figuring out very quickly how much space you're actually meant to take up, right? Because sometimes the invitation comes with different language than is actually what's happening. And I feel my sort of top takeaways are that no isn't always a final answer, and that at my most confident, I'm able to recognize that I should always chase the best idea, and that I think I had been reared, so I used to do costumes, I used to do styling, and I'd been reared under directors who were the loudest and the gruffest and were like super uncomfortable with not knowing, and had created these environments where there wasn't room to say fail or really ask questions. And I think that because I look like me, I've found sometimes, especially early in my career, feeling that if I didn't know, somehow it meant that I wasn't supposed to be there, and that if I didn't know, someone would sort of like see through me, right? But the thing is, if you don't know, I'm not sure how else you get to know if you don't say it, right? And I have this really clear memory of the last movie that I got to make is this film Zola, and I have this really clear memory of scouting. Yeah. Thank you. Scouting
Shout
this
out for
location.
famous French authors.
Of scouting this location with my cinematographer, and I had gotten to see it before she'd gotten to see it, and I was like really mission centered when we were on the, walking through the location, and she kind of like disappeared and started walking up steps and things, and I was like, that's not what we're here to do. And she wanted to show me something, and I remember feeling sort of frustrated because all these people were watching, and I thought, oh, if it's not coming from me, what are they going to think? But the idea was great, and it wasn't that it was better, because it's not this sort of competition of better. It just was that the goal was to take care of the work, and that the work was what we were all there for, and that I was able to, for a split second, recognize that the idea was better, and that when it happened, I thought, oh gosh, I hope to always have this available to me. I hope to always be open to what is the best idea, and not that everything has to come from me, that I hope to be able to create an environment on a set where people feel they're able to raise their hand or speak up.
That is so awesome. I just have to throw out my favorite Truffaut quote, because it's exactly that. The secret of good directing is knowing exactly what you want, but having no fear of giving it up the second anyone has a better idea. I mean, that is it, what
That's
you just said.
good advice for life.
For life.
Truly.
For life.
Truly.
Like, be open to life. That's so beautiful.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Lisa, you have, if I'm not mistaken, you've come to directing a little bit later in your career. What's that been like for you to have a lot of experience on sets and on shows, but really now get literally behind the camera?
Yeah, I mean, I started as a writer, and I think writing is a really wonderful way to get into that world, because you're imagining the entire world of what you're writing. It's a very deeply immersive experience, but it's just you by yourself in this world all day, and then you break for dinner and nobody can share that world with you, and you've come to know the characters in it so well, and you know what the wallpaper looks like, and you know it's been a hard day for the character, or it's been a triumphant day, and and then I started producing, and I was always still writing, but I thought, what if this world that's playing in my head, other people could jump in and we could make it together. We could bring it to life together, and in that way, I think that any part of this craft of TV and movie making is you're trying to cast a spell, right? The first person you're trying to cast a spell over is yourself, so that you yourself believe the world that you're trying to create, and the next people that you're trying to cast a spell over is your crew and your actors. You want to all see that same thing and be, enchanted by the same thing and going towards it. And to me, if you have those things, that's all you can control, right? Outside of that, once the baby goes to market, it's there, But if you can say, we were in this dream together and we got along and we made something we're proud of, this shared vision, it's such a great feeling. And I think aside from that, it's, part and parcel to that is you have to find your own style for directing. And just like we were talking about clothes, all our clothes are different and fabulous, but you have to find what works for you. Like as a producer, I saw so many different directors come in, and they were all incredibly different, their styles, right? And I realized that the people who were the most successful were the most true to themselves, and like
rather than being adaptable, like
right.
Plato.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
like I couldn't James Cameron my way through a scene. You know what I mean? I just don't think it would work for me. I feel like everybody has their own style, and if you can embrace it and own it, then you feel more comfortable making mistakes, asking questions, leaning on collaborators, and they feel more comfortable with you because you're presenting something that's honest, I mean, I would say my style is nerd mommy. Like I don't yell, but I will be like, I'm disappointed. Disappointed you were late to set. But, and also like if somebody asks me questions, I just nerd out because I just want the best answer. And if they have it, then that's cool too, because we're nerding out together. So that's my style.
Where are, especially episodic television, is such a freight train for the most part. Like, you have 8 to 10 days if you're lucky. Where are the biggest pressure points on the director in that process? 2-3 days in, say things aren't going great. Where does the pressure land on the director to fix it, or to work with the showrunner, or make sure the showrunner figures out with the writer how to fix it? Where do you find the biggest pressure points?
Do you want to go in reverse order? We're going to go back down here?
Sure. Lisa,
I mean,
go for
again,
it feels kind of like
she
I'm talking
was the
forever.
president of the DGA. We're just saying.
I
So.
know, that's why. I mean, my answer would be strange because I am often the producer, the director, and the writer.
Yeah.
So, I can kind of go to myself and be like, you asshole, you've made an undirectable script. And the producer in me is like, you're both assholes. We don't have money for any of this, and you kind of fight yourself. And in the end, you go to your line producer and you're like, please help me. And you have to, it's like you guys were saying, you have to adapt, you have to, there'll come a moment where, time and money are the scarcities in this business, right? Like otherwise you could shoot all day, you could do every angle, you could do every take, but you have these limited resources, and it's about prioritizing what makes it most your vision. And also it's about really learning to pivot when you, like the Truffaut quote, like I'll have to rewrite whole scenes that I loved, and the writer in me is crying, and the director's in me is like, throw it out faster, and you can't be too attached to anything. It's just about the product.
But I think what you're saying is so important, that you have to focus on the story. Know the story you're telling. Because if you really understand what story you're telling, what the themes are, what the text is, what the subtext, you'll know what you can move through. And if you don't really understand that, then you're grappling the whole time. But I think if you know the story, then you can pivot, and trust the people that you have around you. I think things have gotten so big that trying to figure out, if you have 10 days, how to shoot the best story in that time. And if you can do it during prep and collaborate with your writer, that's the best bet. Like if you're 3 days in and you haven't sorted out, you are in a difficult situation. Wouldn't you agree with that? Like the best prep is everything.
Janixa, what have been the best situations for you coming into shows that are long established? What have been the situations where you felt welcomed and prepared? Here's where we are on the storyline. Here's the motif that is going to reflect back to episode 2. That kind of stuff.
Except for this episode of The Bear, I've mostly only worked on the first season of shows, so I haven't had. Everything has still felt quite new, right? And malleable and possible, and things haven't felt all the way set. I would say with The Bear, having stepped into what was, I think, the 4th season of a show, the challenge was that it was so established that I didn't all the way understand why I was there. I am a fan of the show, and I'm a fan of the writers and the actors in the episode, and found myself. It was hard to say no to because I liked the script so much, but I had said no before it happened because I was like, it knows itself. I'm not sure what I can offer. And then the showrunner, Chris Storer, had given me so much room that it actually felt slightly unusual. I kept being like, he's watching somewhere, isn't he? Because I had directed on another show where the creator had been watching and then sending me texts, and I was really not loving that and feeling weird about it. So I was like, he must be watching.
So that's an example of how to not do it.
Yes.
Right?
Well, I think everyone has their way that they want their thing run, and that's a part of being invited. I was going to say that something I wish I have not figured this out because I've not had my own show, but I have oftentimes been on shows that are not makeable, that the amount of days available for what is on the page is not makeable, and I have been really upfront and honest, and then have just sort of like moved forward, and that no one has really been able to show up for how to take care of it. And then when we're in the thing where it's not makeable, I have felt a pressure as if I had failed, even though I had said we were going
producing
to fail.
director,
Yeah.
a really good producing director and team should be helping make that happen, or addressing it again in prep. That's what one would hope.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I feel
I've
like
not had
that's
that.
unfair. Yeah,
I've
then
not had that.
yeah.
Well,
Not had that.
Yeah.
LLG, as we call her, is one of the pioneers of getting that executive producer director credit that was so crucial on great shows like Homeland. And, we're pioneers in the sense of somebody, when you're going to have these shows that are enormously cinematic, you need somebody to avoid exactly what you just described.
Like I hear that and my heart hurts. It's like there needs to
It
be.
hurt while I was there.
I go, no,
And
you shouldn't have that happen, because we all need to. If there's a problem, like we had on Sunday, my first AD is here. We would have shows you'd look at and you go, oh my God, we have 8 days. How are we going to do this? And we had to go back to the writers and work at it as a team. to make it as big as it could be, but, you know, I have to steal something from Paris Barclay, the amazing Paris Barclay, because he describes what it's like to be a series director better than anyone I've ever heard. So I have to just throw that in there. He said it's like going into somebody else's kitchen and being asked to make a gourmet meal, but you can only use the ingredients that are in that kitchen. Maybe you can bring your special spices or some knives, some things, but there's no excuse. You still have to make a gourmet meal, but this is what you got. Yeah.
Top Chef coded.
Top Chef coded, yes. When he said that, I was like, that's exactly right. You know, you still have to tell the best story, but you know, you have to do it. You have to do it this way in this world. Because you've done all of this, Lisa. I mean, you've created the show, so that's really interesting to me.
Well,
Yeah.
I once.
I love John Conroy. We share John
Yes.
Conroy, right?
Oh, yes, he's amazing.
I just saw him in New York. The best DP, Irish DP. You know,
Delight.
oh my God,
Absolute delight.
Oh.
We've got so lucky with our crew. But
yeah.
I mean, I remember I got a script. It was what they call a push present. I just had a child, and it was it was the first time I was ever directing. And my husband worked on this script for me. And so it was literally like, I'm like pumping and looking at the script. And I'm like, this doesn't seem makeable at all. This seems like it would be like 3 times what the schedule is. And sure enough, it was totally not right. But because I'm also like so intimately involved with writing it, and I knew the writer quite well.
Lived at your house.
Yeah, and he was available, and I had just created life for him.
Oh my God.
So I was like, "Can you please? This is like another episode." And so he cut it down, and then I can write, so I'll just take it in the end and cut it down myself, and you get it down to a workable. You want a place where you can dance a little,
Yeah,
right?
of
Where you
course.
can literally,
Yeah.
I added a dance scene to my thing in Fallout because I was like, I want to have some fun.
Yeah.
And to do that, you can't just be trying to get the bare minimum every day, because it won't benefit the show. It doesn't make people feel like they're really excited about making the thing. But I think, to your situation, it's really good to have, if not a producing director, then an AD who's talking to the showrunner, a line producer who's talking to the showrunner, and to go up to them, and they should know. And you'd be like, does this look makeable to you? Like, you handed me this day of date. Like, do you think this is
There are 11
doable?
strips on a day.
Yeah, exactly.
How is that going to
Exactly.
plan? So everything's going to be an hour, even if it's a
Exactly.
4-page scene.
Yes.
Okay.
That's right.
Yeah.
And you have to just say, I don't think it's realistic. Do you? And try to push it
Do
up
you.
there.
Exactly.
And because in the end, they're on the hook for it too, right? It's like, oh,
We're a team.
Yeah.
We're in it together.
But it shouldn't be like, once you look at that sheet,
Yeah.
it shouldn't be like, oh, the director messed up. You should be like,
No.
oh, there was a breakdown in communication because she was given a completely impossible task.
Yeah.
But you do need to have the system where somebody can understand the schedule and look at it
And have that. And
have
whether
that
it's when, I mean,
expertise.
Sunday and Michael Click, our line producer, we would stand in front of the schedule for hours, moving things around with the director, that episode director, trying to come up with plans, and it was very effective. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, we could go on another hour. I am so grateful. I love that this became a conversation. I just want to stress at Variety, we love nothing more than connecting people, and I feel like that's what we're doing here in this room. And I am so grateful. I just want to shout out Jen Nix's episode of The Bear was the terrific one where Sydney has her big decision. Does she go be a partner with the fancy restaurant or not? That was a
Still doesn't make the decision, guys. For the
Spoiler.
whole season. Yeah.
Terrific. And my last question for you, just quickly, is: am I right in thinking that 10 days is kind of re-emerging as the norm for episodic TV, or is it still all over the map?
It's all over the map. I mean, and we have tons of directors here, so I would say it's all over the map. What do you
Interesting.
guys?
Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, everyone's dreaming it could go back to 8, but I think they're in fantasy land. Yeah.
It's so interesting. The pendulum swings one way and it swings back. All right.
Yeah.
Well, we are
What do you
going.
have? Like Fallout must be.
I think it's like, Noreen, what is Fallout? 10? 10? But so Fallout is like 10, and Westworld. We shoot these like giant things, but we are constrained by time. You really have to figure out your visual effects in advance.
Yeah.
And your methodology in advance. Otherwise, these really
Can't
vast
do it.
shows. But
Yeah.
I think it scales depending on how complex a show is to make.
Right.
Yeah. And
What was the bear?
5 days.
That's right.
But it's a half
that
hour.
half hour.
Oh, it's a half hour. I was like,
Gotcha.
No, it's 3 hours
I'm
and it was
having
5 days.
palpitations.
I was like,
Again,
oh my god.
I know. I know.
Again, I hope studio execs are taking notes because these have been some great insights in working with top directors. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
We're going to bring up
Thank
our
you,
next
Cynthia.
panel. Thank you.